to finish it, or at least I'm gonna try it. So, do you have any questions? Mm-hmm. It still doesn't work. You have questions about the progress that I'm going to do, or any steps from the previous video, from the previous stream, or from the last week, from the past week? So just drop your answer on the chats. Hola Vicente, ¿todo bien? Okay, still checking that my YouTube is working because I don't know why I'm not able to see my chat now. So let me check it out again. Yeah. Yeah, now it's working. Okay. I'll limited. Yeah. Looks like Twitch is working. YouTube is working. Let me check one more thing. Oops. I didn't touch anything here. Okay. I apologize for the delay because I think I'm checking that. Looks like everything is something wrong. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, let's go. Looks like YouTube is also working. Yes, today we are going to start in the same point we left on the previous week, making the tileable pattern for the scales or seamless scales texture. So we are going to start again with that process. So remember, I'm going to use. I'm going to open here my left tray. I'm going to use this plugin. This is external plugin, which is called Nanotile textures. It's a plugin. It's a plugin developed by Joseph Drust. I'm going to show you where you can get it. So you can go to the support resources. ZBrush Plugins, and here almost at the end of the list you will find it here, Nanotile Textures plugin. This plugin. This is the plugin that I'm going to use for create the seamless or tileable patterns. I don't know how the repetitive texture. Hello or not. So remember that the idea behind of this plugin is create tileable textures with Nanomesh, with the same concept. We're gonna ZBrush is gonna make a mix between old-fashioned tools, very old tools with like drag dock options here inside of the process. Here I have the 2.5 5D brushes hidden, but with this, the very old tools from very old versions of ZBrush, whether it is just MRGB Graver. ZBrush is going to use this feature combined with the Nanotile, with the Nanomesh tools. So the first step to take is to start making the mesh for the scale. I'm going to try to replicate now this one. This one. That looks like is something like, maybe I can see, it's something like a rhomboid shape. Looks like it is something more or less something like this, like a diamond shape with a ridge here. So it's not completely flattened, it's something more or less something like this. We are watching this from the side. This is the profile, and this is I think that looks cool on the snake's body. So our first step to take them is to start thinking about which is going to be the best starting point, the best base mesh to start replicating this scale pattern. So I'm going to use a cube. I'm going to start with a cube. Let's make it a polymesh. Let's make a polymesh. Then where is this is the symmetry. This is going to be the front view. So what I'm going to do now is to maybe I'm going to squish it a little bit. I'm gonna just change the topology first. So click on group and normal. So here we have one polygroup for each size, for each face. So going to ZBrush measure, keeping the groups. Let's create the mesh with double amount and adapted size to 0 to try to get quads, more regular quads as possible. So let's now click on ZBrush measure. So now go to taper. I'm gonna push this in. Let's go apply some tapering here. And let's come back to the gizmo. Let's rotate it a bit. And I'm gonna use mirror and well y-axis. Maybe if I push up a little bit more, like this. This is what I'm looking for. Maybe if I click again, group by normals again, and click the ZBrush measure again, touch on polishing. This is the scales, or the base mesh for the scales. So this is the mesh that we are going to use as a nanomesh on. So now it's time to go into the plugin. So my personal preferences is, instead of leave the default settings about 6 plane divide resolution, I prefer to change from 6 to 4 because I think I have more control. Or it's just a personal preferences. You can leave 6 if you want. And now click on leave all the buttons as default. It's not necessary to touch anything else. So let's click on create new tileable tool. So ZBrush is gonna start taking different steps. One step is just gonna change the canvas size. It's gonna make a regular with high and wide the same size, like completely 100% quad canvas. This is the first step that ZBrush is going to take to start making the changes. And now here you can read that here you have a small tutorial about how the plugin works. With the Nanotile, plane to tool, select C modular, insert Nanomesh to apply Nanomesh with the all polygons target. So blah blah blah. You can read these instructions if you want. So now we can go. Now this is very important. Don't touch the mesh to zoom in or zoom out the mesh. So if you do it, no problem. You can fix it, but try to avoid to do it. So then what you have to do is to zoom out the canvas instead of the mesh or the model. So now then you need to use this button. Let's click on zoom here to see the whole grid. So see modeler in the middle of one polygon, the space bar, insert nanomesh, target all polygons, and now the M from mesh, and now I'm gonna select the mesh we created before. So now drag it, and now you can go to the Nanomesh settings. Nanomesh, and now maybe if I look in, we need here 90 degrees, maybe a bit bigger, like this. And then these steps are going to be very important. So go into H tile, change from 1 to 2, and B tile is the same from 1 to 2. So we have now four instances from of the mesh. So 2 at vertical position and another 2 at horizontal position. That's the reason why we have now 4 units inside of each polygon. So now it's the time to start creating the right pattern. So go into the pattern options, clicking on grid, and change from grid to checker out. And this is the right pattern. So now we can start playing with the size. And this is what we are having. Let me check again the reference, because I did something wrong. Because doesn't look like exactly the same, or doesn't work as a snake. So maybe we should change a bit the rotation in this axis, like this. There you go. Now it starts looking good, like this. And maybe the offset, like this. Remember that at any time you can click on Edit Mesh to start editing the mesh we created before. Here you can use the. So maybe if we squeeze it a little bit, start working better. And maybe what I'm gonna do now is to start making some arc deformation. Let's click on bend arc. So start bending the mesh like this. And then coming back to the gizmo, make it bigger. Not that much, like this. Yeah, something like this. And maybe I'm gonna apply some smoothing here. To make it more subtle, the transition between the two planes. So now we can come back to here. And maybe with the offset rotation. Yeah, maybe something like this. So we can start playing with the length, with the high. No, the high is good, with the width. I think, yeah. Let's change the rotation a little bit more. And maybe with the width a little bit more too. Hi Fexter, how are you? Let's click here and maybe, yeah, maybe something like this, but I don't know the reason why it doesn't look exactly the same, or more or less exactly the same. Maybe the reason why is because maybe the shape is more like this instead of like this. Maybe we can make this end more pointy. Maybe, let's try it. So we can come back again to the edit mesh. With the symmetry, we can apply, for example, the click curve to start clipping the mesh here and start clipping the mesh here. Yeah, maybe like this looks like more like a snake skin than before. So now we can start playing with the size, and now with the rotation again. Yeah, let's come back to the edit again. Maybe we should cut this out. There you go. So let's apply some polishing. Okay. Also you can do we can need to regroup here these polygroups. Also you can remesh it or dynamesh it, or even use the Sculpting Pro here. If I use like this, keeping the groups and polishing, so we are start getting much better. Okay, I think that we are done. So once we have this, this, it's time to go to this is my you can do it clicking here, creating the seamless maps using this button here, or changing. For example, we are not going to use any normals or any BBRs maps. Maybe you should turn this on, the height map, to start creating a height map. But I prefer, instead of use this, I prefer using the old way to do this. It's going to alpha, transfer, and grab dog. So here, grabbing the dog, here what I have. Maybe if I change a little bit more with the, not with the height, with the height like this. Like this, yes. Let's try it again. So alpha, grab dog. So this is the seamless map we can use. So let's export it. I'm gonna save this as number 3. ZBrush is gonna save this file as a PSD file with 16 bytes of depth information. So maybe we can still be playing to start getting different results. For example, coming back again to the edit mesh, and let me see if we, for example, grab this brush, is still with the symmetry active, maybe we can start changing a little bit more the shape. I'm gonna turn this off, maybe with like this. Or maybe let's push this back down. Not this one. And maybe this one. Make it shorter. You can see that you can create many different patterns with this option. This is the reason why I love to use this plugin, because you have a lot of freedom to start creating different patterns of different textures almost on the fly, just playing with the Nanomesh settings. For example, we can create a crease here in the middle. So you can see now looks completely different, maybe not so like this. Maybe if I use this. You see, now we have a completely different pattern. Edit mesh. Also, we can get into the edit mesh, and because if the mesh, the pattern is gonna look like a little bit of low resolution, we can subdivide the mesh. And subdivide with this. Undo it again, undo it, undo it, undo it. So now divide it 2 times. So now it looks a little bit more smooth on the surface. I don't like this. There's a step here. Maybe what we can do is just get into the edit mesh again. And now we can start let's cut this a little bit. Let's cut it like this. So let's make it a little bit shorter, like this. Let's apply some polishing, maybe on the lowest resolution. And now I can export a new map, like this one, for example. Coming back again to Alpha, Transfer, Grab Dock, Export. This is going to be the scales number 4. And finally, maybe I'm going to try to replicate another one just to make an overview. Maybe this one. So what we can do now is coming back to the original size of the canvas using this button here, Canvas Restore Size. And now, for example, I can start grabbing again a cube, make a polymesh. Maybe could be a good option if let me check again the texture. Diamond shape. Okay, so we can go to initialize, start getting this kind of cube, rotate 4 degrees. So making something like this using the C modeler with the symmetry. What is my symmetry? No, I rotate it on the wrong position. Should be my symmetry is here, so 4 degrees here, like this. And now we can insert a loop here. Yeah, more or less something like this. Let's make it. Let's create a polygroup here. Let's QMS the polygroup all, like this. And now we can group our normals, create polygroups. We can subdivide a bit and polishing to don't make it so. Try to get the bevels and the corners a little bit rounded. Yeah, maybe. Ooh, looks. I think I did something wrong with the YouTube. I think because. Now it's disconnected. Looks like ZBrush. Let me check again the YouTube. something wrong here, I think. Okay, no problem. So just live. I'm gonna try to read your questions because I have a bit of confusions with the different chats from Twitch or YouTube. Looks like Facebook is disconnected. Maybe no comments from Facebook are coming, but your comments from Twitch and from YouTube looks like they are working fine. Okay, so let's come back again. So let's create a new tileable tool. So clicking again here, create new tool. So zoom out this a little bit. Again, insert Nanomesh, all polygon to select the mesh. Click M. This one. Let's go to the Nanomesh. Rotation, maybe it should be 90 degrees here and 90 degrees here. The offset is to be here at 0, exactly in the middle. H tile 2, vertical tile 2, grid, check it out. So now change the size like this and start working with the rotation. Rotation here. Let's make it bigger. And here we have another very cool tileable skin, snake skin pattern. So maybe the offset should be, no, here, like this. Maybe the rotation is too strong. Maybe we can put 45 degrees, minus 45. No. Like this. Okay, I think this skin, neck skin is gonna look nice. I'm gonna get into the edit. I'm gonna push in a little bit more this surface to try to retain a deeper gap here. Now maybe I need to adjust the size. Now we can come back again to alpha and grab dock. So let's click on export. We have now 5 different scales patterns. Now it's time to coming back to the original size, restore. Now we can grab now the snake skin, the snake mesh, this. And it's time to start making the UV map for the body. No, it's clear all this time. I'm just impatient to how to make UV after. Okay. You are waiting for the UVs. I'm gonna try to put this here to try to don't miss any of your questions. Like this. Okay. Hola David, how are you? So, time to start making the UV map for the mesh of the snake. Remember that on the previous stream I was making the base mesh for the body, for the snake body. I was making setting the 2 different polygroups, one polygroup from the top of the body and another polygroup for the bottom, for the belly of the snake. So it's time now to start making the UV mapping for this. So we can go now to UV master. First step to take, so work a clone. ZBrush will create a clone from the original, so you can read it here. So CL means that we are working on the clone. This is still the original. This is the original. This is the clone. So we're gonna make the UV coordinates with the clone, not with the original. So now it's time to ungrab the mesh. With it, this is very important. Keeping the polygroup button active. So ungrab the mesh. So now it's done. So we can flatten the mesh to start checking the two different islands. So we can control click using the gizmo to start making it straight. This is going to be very important when you are trying to apply the scales on a snake. This should be horizontal or vertical, but maybe but try to put them as more vertical or horizontally possible. So now I'm flattened, and it's time to start checking how the texture looks like flowing on the body. So now for that I'm going to use the surface noise. Let's click on noise. You can use this bottom left corner to clicking here. You can I'm gonna check first the latest one we made. So let's try this. This is a part of my personal workflow or my personal preferences. It is nothing special, but I think it helps to understand how it works. So now change from white to black. Of course, change from 3D to UV. Remove any basic noise, so set this up to 0, and now you're gonna start playing with the alpha scale. So now you're gonna be able to start watching your pattern. So let's click on OK, and you can see how the scales flows through the body. Gracias, David. Thank you. Okay, so now it's time for start checking that you can see here we have a bit of issue here. The scales are flowing well in this direction, is bending well here, it's going go here, everything looks like it's working fine. Maybe here we are start getting some problems because could be better if we have, instead of this, we can get this kind of orientation. We should rotate this a little bit to the left from this view. So instead of maybe more flowing into this direction, because it looks like they are flowing into this direction, which it's wrong. Could be okay, but doesn't looks good. So, and maybe something is happening similar on the neck here. Here we have almost the same problem. Looks like the scales are watching to this direction, and they should look into this direction. So something is wrong here. Other than that, looks like it's working fine. So we can now start fixing this. How we can fix this? It's a quite primitive way of fixing, but it works. So we can come back to flatten the mesh again. And what we need to create is to start trying to create this as more straight as possible. Looks like this one is going here, and I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more straight. Almost everything. Here the same, this is the neck and this is the tip of the tail. So I should, instead of having this curve, we should try to rotate it a little bit to try to get more straight uh, UVs. So I recommend to you to do this instead of grabbing, for example, you can be thinking about to start grabbing the move brush and start pulling or pushing the mesh. I don't like to do this. I prefer to use the transpose line or the gizmo. So I can gonna mask this part, blur the mask. It's very important to start blurring the mask. Invert the mask. I'm gonna use the transpose like this. I'm going to bend this from here, blur the mask, invert the mask, rotate from this view, and the same here. I'm going to grab this portion, blur mask, start blurring many times, as many as possible, to try to get a good transition, a soft transition between the mask and unmasked surface, going like this. And here the problem, here we have a problem here on the tip. We can start rotating. Try to don't squeeze or deform too much the polygons. That's the reason why I prefer to use this instead of movements with the move brush. So let's try to put this straight. And maybe here where we have only it's going to be necessary to apply some soft touches, we can use the move brush here. I'm going to try to fix this again, to put this here. And let's see how it looks like now. Now I'm flattened, and looks like it's starting looking better. Looks like the tip. So we can grab it again. So now you can see that the tip is fixed. The tip, you can see here, the tip is completely fixed, but the neck still doesn't work. Well, that's the reason why. So I should rotate it like this and trying to rotate only this part. Maybe mainly the problem is here, like this. There you go. Now it works. So now you can see now they are working fine. So you can see now they are working in the right orientation. Some panther jewelry. Yeah, we can try it. But many people are making panthers. Panther jewelry. If you are thinking about the Cartier looking panthers, for that you can go to Cartier and admire and observe what they do, but this is not my personal taste. I love the Cartier Panthers. This is one of the jewelry pieces that I like the most. The simple lines, but it's not a matter to start trying to replicating the work from others, or try to replicate from the work from other brands, or things that are already invented or designed. You can see it everywhere. So it's much better. I think this is my personal opinion. Okay, so it's much better to try to develop your own ideas or your own designs. J. Vicente is asking any other way to unwrap UVs inside of ZBrush. This is the only way. The UV Master plugin. Of course, if you are using another softwares like I don't know, in 3D Max, Maya, or even 3D Code, you will find more powerful tools for UV mapping. You can export the mesh and grab the mesh there and coming back again to ZBrush. But the way that ZBrush has to make the UV maps, it's simple but very effective. And there you go. So now last step to take is copying the UVs from the clone, go into the original and paste the UVs. Now we can change the material. And now maybe it's time to, I'm gonna save it. Now it's time to start subdividing the mesh. Or before doing that, I'm gonna come back again to the clone. What we can do is get into the edit noise and save this as a noise. So you already have this noise, which you can apply it on a different model or into a different design. It's well to start saving your files. So let's come back to the original. Now it's time to start subdividing the mesh, so we can crease the polygons first. And now let's start subdividing 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now I am getting more than 2 millions. I think it's gonna be enough to retain the scales on the surface. Asok is asking how many polygons good for sculpting. My personal preference, I always try to stay below 3 millions. 3 millions. Always try to stay below 3 millions. And I'm talking about for each subtool. So it's strange that I have one subtool which has more than maybe 4 millions. Maybe I can stay at the highest resolution for a mesh, maybe around 3 and 4 millions. I think, from my opinion, it's not going to be necessary to have more polygons or more density to retain a good detail. This is this. It could be because the kind of design that I do, I don't like to populate, to add a lot of detail on the surfaces. I prefer clean surfaces, a simple language on the design. I don't like to apply many too complicated surface details and things like that. But again, you can be working, for example, with 3 millions here, 1 million, and 5K here. Maybe at the final Boolean model, maybe you can be reaching around I don't know, maybe between 5 or maybe 8 millions, but no more. I think, my opinion, don't have too much sense to be having more than 5 millions. That's my personal way of working. To him, I'm sorry because maybe I don't know how to pronounce your name. This is to him. Biswas is asking if I sculpt characters. Yes, I sculpt characters for production, for miniatures, figures, or everything that can be 3D printed. I'm open for sculpted. But the problem is that I'm not allowed to show my work about characters, because I made some of them from, how do we call it this, from licenses like Star Wars or Dragon Ball, Naruto, any other manga style characters, but I'm not allowed to post them. But it's just a matter of sculpt. That's a matter. But I prefer to sculpt another kind of things, because when I need to sculpt a whole character with a pose, the whole body, most of the time I become bored, because you start It takes a lot of time. I mean, I prefer to create simple, small things, or many simple and small things, than a very big project which has a lot of main character with a specific pose, with the clothes, with an armor, with weapons and things like this. Can you show them with the figures? Yeah, I can. Yes, maybe I can. I have some some. Let me check it out. I'm not sure, but because the maybe I'm not gonna be sure, and I'm not sure that I'm allowed to show them or to say that I made them. That for I don't know. It's for me it hasn't sense, but um, I think it's not going to be possible. So I'm sorry, but I think I can have problem with the original license or with the company that they ordered to sculpt those figures. You go to my art station. Maybe here you can see some of my own creations. It's not everything about only jewelry because this is more like could be a combination of jewelry and a character. This is a character from Michael Parks. This is a very well-known illustrator and a sculptor. The the jewelry piece was based on this design. For example, we can call this a character or maybe something like this. This is a relief for tombstone for CNC carving. You can see this is completely a whole character. And another thing, for example, this practice from one of my favorite illustrators from all times is Fran Frazetta. This is a whole character as well, or maybe animals, or the, some figures. So the dragon. You can see it here printed. No, I don't have. I need to post images from the printed version. I don't know why. And okay, check my ArtStation profile if you would like to see more of my works, different than jewelry designs. I have videos on my YouTube channels because this is I am streaming once a week, once a week. And if you go to my channel, YouTube channel, here you can see more video tutorials about how to sculpt an sculpt ring, how to sculpt a bas relief. You can see here different videos about the turntables, different models, time lapses about the sculpting practice. I have many videos here, but I have to say that I don't like to make videos because it takes a lot of time. I prefer to post pictures instead of videos. What my favorite brushes? I said on previous streams that you can see here. I am using the SK brushes from Sakaki Kaoru. So let me. Brushes. I love this pack of brushes. The SK pack brush. I use them very much, not all that comes with the pack, but I use very often the SK slash brush, the SK cloth, the SK clay fill. I love the way this brush works. SK curve, many of them. I strongly recommend to you this pack of brushes. So let's check. Let's try to start making to start checking how the pattern looks like on the body. I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna hide the. No, let's see. Let's leave the head visible. So now it's time to go into noise, charts, loading, noise maker, like this. Maybe in terms, if we are looking for to have a good casting, a good printing, and a good metal casting, it's not going to be possible to make a very small scale. I'm gonna check this. How big are they now? So here maybe we can have here 0.8 millimeters. You can read it here. And from here to here we can, well, 1.3 millimeter, and here the ridge, here we have 0.2, almost, maybe I can say 0.3 millimeter, maybe like this, or maybe we can make it a little bit bigger. Instead of 0.037, maybe if we try 0.038, or maybe 0.04, a little bit bigger. So maybe here we have almost reaching the 0.3. Maybe if 0.045, like this. So I'm gonna hide this polygroup. I'm gonna select this polygroup. I'm gonna create a copy from the original. I'm gonna duplicate to keep the original as a backup from the original mesh. So now it's time to convert the noise into a mask. So clicking mask by noise button here, and now we can invert the mask using the gizmo, and you can use the control key and start inflating the mesh till getting something like this. We are adding a positive value, or maybe we can invert the mask and apply a negative value. Maybe a negative value is gonna work better in this case. Here we have one pattern. I'm gonna create a copy, duplicate. Let's check the others. Undo, undo, and undo one more time here. Get into edit. Let's try to select a new alpha. Let's try to select this one. Maybe this one we can make it a little bit smaller. Maybe 0.04, like this. Mask by noise. Invert the mask, and let's make it like this. Looks cool as well, but doesn't look like a snake. But you can. It's maybe something like this thing. This pattern, my opinion, looks nice. And like this. This one looks good. I'm gonna decide at the end. Let's try it again. Another one. Undo it, undo it, and undo it. I'm gonna try one of the patterns I made past week, like this one. I think this is the one that I like the most. What do you think? So let's apply this, and I think in imprinting and casting, this one is gonna be the one that will works better. I think, my opinion. But it looks like a scales pattern, but with a kind of crystals, or I don't know, the kind of grid. So in terms of jewelry design, the idea is not trying to make a realistic finishings to start to adding value from the designing point of view. So I think this is the one that I like the most. I think here we have one. This is one. I'm gonna make it smaller. to have enough space for the three. This is the one. This is the another one. And this is the other one. Which one do you prefer better? I think, in my opinion, the one that I like the most, thinking about the polishing, the casting, the printing, casting, and polishing, maybe it's going to be this one. This one, the first one. I prefer this one, the number one. Left. Yeah, I think the way that you can see that you can see it in a snake skin, but at the same time, it's not a realistic skin. At the same time, it gives value from the designing point of view, and from the polishing point of view, it's gonna look nice as well. I think, because here we have too many detail here on the body, and this one could be looks like more like a wire, maybe, instead of snake skin. Maybe from the designing point of view, I prefer to select this one. I'm gonna go for the one. So to this one, right? Yes. So I'm gonna do it again, and do it because I'm gonna perfect method. Thank you. You are welcome, but not by missed where the UV flatten that I never move it in the out. Yes, with that method you don't have to work on a low poly. So I mean could be from the high to low. Yeah, what this is the reason why when you are using this, when you are making this, you see now my body has, the snake body has 5 subdivision levels. At the highest subdivision, I have more than 2 millions. But if we go to the UV master and once we click on work on clone, ZBrush will make a copy from the lowest subdivision level. So now I'm working only with 8,000 polygons. That's the reason why it's much easier to handle and to make calculation for the UV mapping process. And of course, if you are looking for, as I did before, start bending the mesh or adjusting the mesh, it's going to be much easier to adjust than if you try to do the same with a high poly mesh. That's the idea behind of the work on clone and the UV master method. So where I am, okay, here. So one trick or one advice that I can give you is before start applying any noise, it's a good habit to store the morph target first. So click on morph target. Now you can start making the extrusions. So noise, mask by noise. I already have a mask, okay? So I can start making the extrusions like this. No. Like this. Yes. Like this. So for example, we can fix now a little bit the tail. I'm gonna try to fade the scales where they are coming to the tip of the tail. I prefer to start fading the snakes, and this is as I did before the morph target. We can grab the morph target brush and start morphing the tip. Gonna reduce the intensity and start fading like this, the scales on the tip. And we can do, for example, what we can do is, if you prefer, you're gonna start sculpting, start sculpting a bit the missing detail. Like this. Or for example, to start adding a ridge here, or some, for example. And another good thing about the Morph Target, it's if you go now to Morph Target, you can start morphing again the mesh, coming back to the original, or start adding more strength. Because if you decide, for example, what I normally do is if I make two models, the model that I'm going to use for rendering and the model that I'm going to use for 3D printing. So this one, for example, for rendering, something like this can look good on your rendering program, but for 3D printing, you should add a little more of a strength to the scales to avoid to lose as less detail as possible on the printing, casting, and polishing processes. And here you are asking, hello Rafabris, is there a way to actually scale down the noise so that when it's reaching the tail, it gets smaller? No, as far as I know, it is not possible. It is not possible. Well, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Or never say no. Maybe it's possible, but I don't know how to make it. And let's come back to here. I'm gonna duplicate this to keep this as the original. And then I'm gonna come back to history, back to the starting point. Here. If I go back, come back again to the work on clone, flatten. What you can do is to start, for example, I can select this and you can start pinching or squeezing the mesh. Squeezing the polygons on the tip like this. When you are on flatten and you are watching how the noise looks like again, you can see you can start squeezing them a bit, but doesn't work very well. Maybe I made the opposite here. Yeah, let's see. Let's come back to flatten again. Let's grab, for example, half of the portion and then I'm gonna select this. This is completely the opposite that I did. Let's see now if it works. Yeah, you can do something like this. So start modifying the mesh to start squeezing the polygons or expanding the polygons to adapt the size of the scales in some areas. I'm going to repeat it again. I'm going to come back to the original, work on clone again, and grab, flatten. I'm going to select this. I'm going to select half of the mesh. The blur mask is very important. So now I'm going to pull to the right a little bit and flatten. And now you can noise. So now you are stretching the scales on the tip. This is the only way that I know, maybe start. But if we are thinking about printing and casting, maybe if we are talking about jewelry here, this is going to be helpful if we are not having very small scales at the end of the body on the tip, because if not, we're going to lose a lot of detail in this area instead of compared to the rest of the body. Okay, depending on the design, the kind of design that you have in mind. And Give Fist is asking, how do I inflate after masking? Again, okay. Holding control while increasing size with gift mode. No, I make this because, for example, if I come back here to the original, I said before, the trick or the process is store your morph target before start making any deformation. So now when it is completely as the original. Now you can extort your morph target. Now you can start, for example, control. You can leave your cursor here. The tab you can say ZBrush is saying to you scale X, Y, and Z, and control to inflate. So I can control like this. Depending if I go back, go down, I start inflating in this direction. If I go up, I start inflating into the right direction, like this. Once you are happy with your deformation, you can remove the mask, and now you can go to the morph target setting, settings, and start playing with the morph. With this, you can apply. You can reaching the 100%. That means that you are coming back to the original mesh, and when you are applying negative value, you are applying more strength, so you are making a much defined mesh. Another thing that you can do, it's another way that I love to use it, is one of the latest releases. I think that it comes from the version 2020 maybe, or 2021. I don't know, I don't remember. It's the contrast slider here. You can add more contrast here. For example, you are having this, and you need, for example, your 3D printing supplier is telling to you that the scale doesn't look very good, so you need to reinforce, you need to enhance, to add more resolution to this, to the scales. You can, and you forgot to use the morph targets, so you can go to deformation and you start using the contrast. You can see you are applying more contrast, so you are adding more strength to the detail. I'm gonna explain it to you here. For example, if I grab an sphere here, make it polymesh, let's subdivide it one more time. No, like this. So for example, if I grab this brush and I have this pattern, and I think that this is not going to be enough for 3D printing and casting, I can go now to deformation and start applying more contrast. And now you can start applying as many contrast as you want. You can apply it applying a positive value, or you can applying a negative value. You are pushing the mesh in the opposite direction. The contrast slider or control, it's very helpful if we are talking about any kind of 3D printing processes. Gipsy, how do you make the noise follow the topology so perfectly? Do you flatten and move it? Yes, I was flattening and moving the UVs. If you can review again the video, I think I made it maybe 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes before, and you can check it how I fix the flowing of the scales. So now it's time to move on a little bit. What I'm gonna do to follow improving a little bit more the body. This is going to be this is my original. This is I always try to keep backups from the subtool. If I decide during the process that I don't like anything, I need to come back again to the original mess. So now what I'm gonna do now is to grabbing this. I'm gonna go to the one. I'm gonna select this. I'm going to shrink it. I'm gonna mask it. I'm gonna go now to the low format. I'm gonna shrink the mask a bit. I'm gonna invert the mask, and now I'm going to make it a little bit more flattened, like this. This is the magic about polygroups. If you have polygroups, you can do many different things. Not that much, maybe less, like this. Like this. So now I'm gonna apply the pattern on the back, because I'm not going to leave it flat. So for the back of the snake, I used to use this instead of creating a tileable texture as I did before with the with the scales. I use this surface noise. I'm gonna use this part of the body. Maybe I can shrink it a little bit. One little bit to don't be so close from the border of the scales. Now I can go to edit. I'm not going to use now any image. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to use the noise plug library I have here, and I use the stripes option. Clicking on the stripes, clicking OK. I'm going to try to move my camera. My webcam, try to put it here. Maybe I'm going to put myself here. So now you are going to be able to see better what I'm doing inside of the noise maker. So now what I do is this is the back part, right? So if I can start playing with this. And the very cool thing about this library is that you can start playing with this. So you can start playing with the angles here. For example, you can start using something with the angle in this direction, trying to find like this a good flow. Maybe something like this, and in some cases it kind of looks good if I apply some kind of distortion like this. Then it's gonna looks like more interesting instead of make them two parallel, one to the other. Try to make it more, I don't know how this is the right word, the diagonal in Spanish. I don't know how to say this. Is an angle position, more angle position. You are asking here. Let me check. If I am how I ubicate the gizmo with the Alt and click in the vertex. Yes. If you Alt and click any vertex, you will get the gizmo perpendicular to that specific vertex. So maybe like this, and maybe you get into the edit. Here you can, for example, like let's make it a bit bigger to see it better. If I click on edit, we can play with the amplitude. Maybe something like this. And also you can here you have different options. You can do this, or maybe you can use this. Looks good. You are applying more designing things, or for example something like this. I liked this one. Sawtooth, I don't know. This one, Pearly Noise, which they are not completely straight. Looks like a little bit wavy. Let's see how it looks like. Let's click OK. So I think that looks good, like this. So once you have the noise applied and you like it, we can apply a mask here so to see how it looks like this. I think looks nice. Gonna come back again. Whoops. Here. And again, the same as before. So mask by noise. Now we have a mask. Now we can invert the mask. Maybe we can blur the mask a little bit. No, let's leave it as it is. And now control and inflate like this. And now I'm gonna apply the polishing. Not this polishing. I'm gonna apply this one. Let's make it a smaller. Invert mask. Polish. Let's come back again. I don't like it. Maybe we can grow the mask a little bit. And here we have a new feature that you can use that in this case is going to be very useful, I think. I didn't use it many times from the release of the latest version. You can use the masking. Here you have the new feature is boost mask. You can start boosting the mask, but I'm gonna come back to the original here. So now mask by noise again. Now start boosting the mask. Boost, boost, boost. And you can dilute. I don't know how to pronounce it. Dilute or boost the mask. So we can grow the mask and boost the mask. Now you can invert the mask, and now we can. Maybe I should make it bigger because one line is too close to the next one. So let's come back. Undo, 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 undo. One more time here. Get into edit, and let's say 0.007. Let's say 0.00075. 008. It's gonna be better for forecasting, I think, like this. Let's make the mask again. So let's grow the mask and boost mask, and now we can making, and this is what we are having. I'm gonna smooth this a little bit, and this is what we are getting from the back. Hi Valerie, thanks for being here. Here we have as a Chinese. I cannot hear well in English, so it is difficult for me to understand communicating with artists from all over the world in my motivation to learn English. Yeah, this is like me. I learned to speak English. I don't know how, but I try to speak English. I know that I'm not talking or speaking good English, but it's gonna be enough to explain myself, and then you can do the same. So try to study or try to learn how to explain what you want to say. Doesn't matter that you are not saying it well or 100% perfect. So go ahead, because speaking English is very important for businesses, for many businesses, and for working all around the world. You need it. And any other questions? No. So let's come back to one more last thing that I'm gonna do that I like is because the transition between the upper part and the lower part, I like to add a shiny wire. I call it shiny wire that we can apply it in the frontier, in the border of both parts. If I come back, for example, to the original, maybe I can use this one. I can use this one, for example. This one is the original, right? I'm gonna make a copy from this one. I'm gonna go to the lowest subdivision levels, maybe the second will be much better. I'm gonna delete the lower and delete the higher to get rid of any subdivision levels noise. And I'm gonna do now is to go to stroke, curve functions, and gonna turn this on, polygroups. I'm gonna frame the mesh, so frame mesh. Once we have a curve here, I can use, for example, this brush, curve tube snap, and I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna have a cord or tube following all of the coils of the snake. Now I split mass points. I'm gonna grab this nearby this one. Gonna select this one, hide this one. This is what I get. This is like a border between the two. And on the real piece, this looks very nice because you are watching a shiny line through the body and looks cool, my opinion. So the only thing here that I need to make here is, for example, what I can do is to start grabbing this part, blurring, blur the mask, and I'm gonna try to de-inflate a little to make it this a little bit more thinner here, and I'm gonna hide this inside, something like maybe something like oops, maybe something like this here, and maybe I can apply back face mask, and I can change this shape a little bit. Now we can make a new series measure with the double amount of polygons. One more time. Let's follow adjusting this. Maybe I can use this for gap, fill in this gap. That doesn't look very good. Maybe something like this. Let's make a new topology, and now we're gonna start polishing. And now we have the mixing of the two borders. Also here, what I can do is maybe I'm gonna remove this final part. Gonna hide, delete hidden, close holes, and I'm gonna use this to integrate it into the head, like this. Here it's going to be necessary to adjust it a little bit. Here the same thing here. So I would need to blend better the transition between the head and the neck, but for now it's gonna be, for today's stream, I think it's gonna be enough. But what I can do now is to start, for example, I can push this in a little bit, and for example on the head what I can do here is to start, just an example, right? So I can start adding here like a pick here to blending this portion here, another pick here, things like this. But I should think about it first. Okay. Thank you. Glad you like it. It's gonna be difficult to pronounce your name, 3 plus Tiki. I'm making a snake pendant. So now it's time to fix a bit, for example, the scales a bit here and there. And now we have the body. Another thing that we can do, I'm gonna save now. I'm gonna check how it works. I'm gonna create a custom curve brush. I'm gonna come back to this one. I'm gonna hide this. Now to this one. And I'm going to use this curve that I already have here. I'm gonna grab now a sphere. I'm gonna make a polymesh. I'm going to use the taper feature here to make this taper in here, taper in here. I'm going to make it like this. Maybe I can make more, a little bit more tapering here. Yeah, something like this. Again, I get into the brushes. I'm gonna create an insert brush. I want to create a new one. Now I can go to stroke and turn on the curve mode. So this is what I get. If I have this, let's see how it looks like. Let's make it bigger. A bit bigger, like this. And let's push this in to get something like this. Let's make them closer one to the other. Coming back to the stroke, instead of 1, let's apply 0.8. Now they are closer. I like this. Split mask points. If I select this one with this version, it kind of looks good, I think. But I prefer maybe the other option, because in terms of brickness, it kind of looks better, I think. What do you think? Do you like this or this? Well, I'm not sure, but maybe this one in metal in reality is gonna looks like more noisy, more confused. So because we are gonna have too many uh, textures on the body, and with this version we are gonna get a cleaner finishing, I think, and with a polyset bright line following the shape of the body. Maybe I can make it a little bit thicker, like this. If I make it more target now, I can make it thicker here, but thinner at the end. Like this. You can see I use a lot the Morph Target. So maybe I prefer this one. I prefer this one more than, because this one is gonna be too dense texture. Maybe this one looks more maybe cleaner. Orion is saying you Kirby you like more. Yeah. The first one. Do you like most this one? Do you prefer this one, the left one? Yeah, maybe. Apple with a heart. Yeah, could be. Could be another version. Could be another option. But the idea behind of this design is the sin concept. So that's the reason why I put an apple. And also the apple, I'm gonna make a stone pave here. I'm gonna make this on the next week streaming. We are gonna talk about how to make paves inside of ZBrush, because here I'm gonna add the idea that I have is to make something like this. Here we have this is going to be, I'm gonna add a nerve here in the middle, like this, and here I'm gonna add a pave of stones here. This is the idea that I have now, and this is I'm gonna show you my way to do this. And also I'm gonna put a pear stone here. with many different stones here, and this is going to be the idea. Of course, it's going to be necessary to add some thickness and something like this. This is going to be the idea for the next stream, next streaming. And maybe here, if I come back to the original idea, here I'm gonna hide this one. Let's come back to the same as before. So frame mesh, but I'm gonna put a little bit more in depth like this. A little bit more like this, a little bit more. You can find this control here. You go to brush, you go to depth, and you will find here this graphic here where you can control how deep you put your curves or your insert brushes. So split mask points, and now, no, let's see how it looks like compare with the other. This one. Again, this is going to be another version, and this is going to be the new version. Because this is more subtle. This is not so big than this one. Okay, I know. But you are right. But this one looks cool. I think looks cool on the screen. But I'm thinking about the casting, or mainly on the polishing process. Maybe this is going to be. I think this one looks. I prefer to keep the designs as clean as possible. To don't make it too noisy with a lot of details. That's the reason why maybe I prefer this one instead of this one. Yeah, I have my own YouTube channels. You go to here. This is my YouTube channel. I have some videos here, not too many, but most of the time my streams are with ZBrush Live and the ZBrush Live. The left version is looking more organic. Yeah. It's looking more organic, but the idea that I have, the idea behind of this design is, or mainly the ideas behind a jewelry designs. This is my personal taste. Is you are trying to apply some figurative or non-realistic finishings to the design. This one looks more organic, more realistic maybe. But the reason why I prefer this one, but the design at the end is gonna be more a combination of design and I don't know what to say. Maybe the more not so realistic like this one. I am agree with you that this one looks more organic. And also, for example, I have another snake's pattern that looks like more realistic, more organic. But I try to avoid that. I prefer to make it more more jewelry looking finishing. I don't know how to say it, but so this is the idea. Okay, so I don't use any plugin for pavés, for making pavés. I'm gonna explain to you how I make the pavés is with an insert brush, a custom insert brush I have here. I'm gonna talk about this on the next stream. So for example, this is the surface that I'm gonna use. This is my custom brush that I use. I'm gonna start making the cuts for the stones. Start placing the stones one by one. And again, if for example, if we can say this is a real commission or a real order from a client. If the client is thinking about the same as I'm thinking now to add a pave here to cover the whole leaf with the stones, I prefer to leave the metal completely flat with the necessary thickness and give this work to the stone setter. So I don't make any pre-made digital stone setting on my design or on the design for my customers. So the only things that I check is if I'm going to have enough thickness for the stone and enough space to put the required stones that the client has. So, but again, anyway, I'm gonna explain to you which is going to be my method for start making stone settings for rendering purposes. This is one of the videos that I have. I was talking before about my YouTube channel. I have one video here. One video here. This is a one video that I'm thinking about now. This is gonna be, could be this one. This is the process that I wanna use for. This is the process that I'm gonna follow with the stone settings. But in the stone placement is going to be one by one. But the stone distribution, I'm sorry. But with this process, you are going to be able to put all the stones at the same time for your rendering. This is the process that I'm gonna use on my next stream, and the same like here. Once I have the holes and the prongs, I can apply all the stones together at the same time. I'm gonna explain to you this on my next stream. So maybe we can, I'm gonna save this. Save. Yes. Okay, this is save it. This is what we get on the back. This is what we get on the front. And for example, one very cool feature that was released on the latest version is the stager feature. For example, in this case, it's very useful for the head of the snake. For example, if you go to geometry and go to a stager, you can, I'm gonna turn on the solo, you can send the head to how to say it, to symmetrical position. For example, then I'm gonna start dividing the mesh 1-2 times. I'm gonna start sculpting the scales pattern. I'm gonna use this brush from the SK pack, but I prefer to change the default alpha to the alpha 39. I prefer to use this one. So I'm gonna start adding more detail here. This is one polygroup. I'm gonna click on auto groups to be able to hide like this. Start adding the diamond pattern here. With like this, and I can start using it using the Alt key to start adding the steps here. And a cool thing about the stager is, yes, I'm gonna try to find this before do this. You can be here detailing and detailing, so at any time you can send it. No, this function can be with message. Oh yeah, you are right. I need to hide everything and you send it back to the original position, but with the design that you can sculpt. So this is going to be a very good time saver. So let's come back to the switch. So how to do this is the only thing that you need to do is, for example, if I append, I'm gonna explain to you with a sphere, for example. So I'm gonna insert a sphere. Of course, the sphere is going to go to the center of the 3D space. So this is going to be the home state. And now you can send it to the original position, to the final position. I'm sorry. And this is going to be the target state. So now you're going to start switching from the two different positions. This is going to be, I think, very useful for many, many different applications. Comics Legend is asking, how did you get into the design? Oh, well, it's hard to answer. I started as a painter, as an illustrator. So all I know about ZBrush, I learned it by myself because I felt in love with the software, and I started working professionally 10 years ago, making many different stuff for 3D printing. As I said before, mainly my work is focusing on jewelry design, but I made toys, collectible figures, miniatures, many different products from, and all this many different stuff related for 3D printing. And when you are learning how to use a tool like ZBrush, at the same time you are learning design, how to design, or the main concepts about design. It's hard to answer. Hard to answer. I don't know. I didn't read any book, or I didn't go to any class, design class or design school. Everything that I know, it's learned by myself because I like what I'm doing. So when you like something, you put the time necessary to learn and to be improving as much as you can. I didn't know about the stager. What? Yeah, this is the stager. I use I am using a Cintiq, a Wacom Cintiq, and the all 22 inches Wacom Cintiq tablet. Yeah, the stager is very useful, and for this, I found it very useful for the snake's pendant. For example, if you follow the tailing here, you can be using the symmetry. And another cool new feature you have inside of ZBrush, on the new ZBrush, for example, you go here. For example, you apply one stroke, and you think, this is not going to be enough for 3D printing. I need to make it stronger. Instead of undo and repeat it again, you can go here. You have a new option that you can adjust here. You can make it start adding more strength to your stroke. So again, you make the stroke, you can go now to the stroke, and here you will find a new control. You can start adjusting the stroke. But for example, if you go start applying more strokes than one, because with this you are able to adjust the last stroke. So, and here I am making more than one, of course. All right, so let's follow applying more strokes. More strokes. Let's apply here one more here, for example, another one here, one more here, and again, it's going to be enough for the example. And you want to apply more strength to all of them. I'm going to make it one more here. What you can do now is to come back with your history back to the original, to the beginning. For example, here, and now Control and tap on this point from history. Now you can come back to the end of your steps, and now you can adjust all of them at the same time. Negative or positive. You can also apply negative value or positive value. So I can apply more strength here. Again, this is very useful for 3D printing because one of the main concerns that we have when we are making sculpts for 3D printing is to know that we are the detail we are sculpting, it's going to be visible on the final piece. So if you are not sure, we can apply more strength now very easily with these new features. Control tab trick. Yes, you can come back to history, control tab, record, or remember this starting point, and then come back again to your last step, and now you can modify all that happens between those 2 points. Does Stager work with multiple subtools? No, Stager only one with one mesh. You have a 3 head? No. You can apply, for example, if you have the 3 heads, because the sample that you are saying you have a 3 head snake in different position, but just want to sculpt one and see them and then in position. No, this only works for depending on maybe you can apply, you can use masking. Basically, you have three different heads and you are looking for only to see how the changes looks like into one. Maybe you can mask the others and then you can send it back only one back and forth. I don't know. You need to try it. So now from this point, it's just a matter to be following sculpting and refining shapes and from the head. And this is the reason why I'm not going to be here too much time explaining sculpting processes about different process and things like that. Maybe it's going to be more interesting the UV mapping process, the how to make tileable images, the process that I'm gonna show on my next stream about the stone setting. But anyway, at any time you can ask what you need. I will be more than happy to answer your questions if my knowledge it's enough to know what you're asking. So this is just to put time here to start this. But remember that also you have the, for example, if I Control Shift and tap here, you can go as I did before. Inside of the deformation menu, you can start applying more contrast. To start applying more strength to your strokes for your printing models. So let's come back to the switch stage, and this is what we are starting to get. Let's hide the sphere. I'm gonna delete this subtool. Okay. Who makes the jewelry from your models? What do you mean? Thofo264, who makes the jewelry from your models? I made it. I made them. So I make jewelry models. So or you are saying that who makes the printing? Yeah, I have some contacts and some friends who has 3D printing supply company, casting companies, jewelry workshops, and having contacts. So I don't own any 3D printer. So, but many times I try to create printing tests for to know that what I am doing on the screen it's going to work in reality. So I like from time to time send designs for printing and casting to learn about what I am doing wrong in terms of the detail is not enough depth or yes, depending on which is the problem. But I have friends who have printers, jewelry workshops, and then casting companies. Thank you very much. Glad you like them. Will be cool to copy composition object and paste to another. Yeah, I didn't think about it. Try to copy. I think I'm not quite familiar about how the history works. I know that you can do different things. Try to copy from one subtool and paste it into another. I don't know. I'm not sure that it's possible or not. I don't know. But but you can do there. Maybe the position, what you can do is to transfer one details from one subtool to another, of course, with the project. Here with the project, you can project one detail from one subtool to another subtool, and also you can use the extractor process, where you can extract parts of the detail from one subtool and you can apply to other subtool completely different. You can use the extractor process. I'm not quite familiar with them. I don't use them very often. I was use them during the beta testing, but I think that I haven't used them anymore during my daily work. So I'm gonna leave for the next stream to start working on the leaf, to start because as you are here and you are watching here, when I am making surfaces that they are going to be necessary to put stones on them, I always start from a single surface without thickness, as you can see here on the leaf. On the leaf, yeah, leaf. I don't know how to pronounce it. Leaf or left, I don't know. So this is only one surface mesh. So it needs to be extruded to add the necessary thickness for the stone setting, but not yet. So maybe I'm gonna follow working on the head. You are welcome. What feature do you wish the ZBrush had? I don't know. The only feature that I use, because all the stuff that I do is within ZBrush. I don't use any external modeling or, of course, sculpting external application. But the only feature that I use an external software is when I need to make models hollow inside for 3D painting, and mainly for jewelry when the customer is requesting to me 0.6 maybe more than half of a millimeter thickness, maybe 0.8 millimeter thickness or 0.6 millimeter thickness or 1 millimeter thickness or 1.2 millimeter thickness. They are requesting as more precise as possible wall thicknesses. The only external application that I use is Mesh Mixer. This is I need to talk with the guys of Pixologic to try that they can implement the same tool inside of ZBrush. But other than that, I make everything inside of ZBrush. The Genius King, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And maybe we are done for today. For if you have, you can re-watch or try to watch my previous streams. If you go to the Pixologic website, you can go to the Pixologic website and you can go to community, ZBrush Live. It's coming, okay. You go to presenters tab, and when you scroll down almost till the end of the list where I am, here I am. So clicking on my face, punch in my face. So you can scroll down, and here you have a collection of my previous streams. I only made 4, so today is the 5th. I have planned to make more in the future. So this is the collection of my streaming. Also, here you have all the links to my social media pages, to my Facebook page. This is my Facebook page. So this is my this is my. I have 2 Facebook pages. This is one related for more different stuff from jewelry design. I have things here, but here also here on inside of Facebook here I have my page is Nacho Riesco Organic Jewelry Designs. This is where I have where I post all of my stuff related for jewelry designs. Here you can see more all of the streams, renders, and stuff related to jewelry design, right? And of course my Twitter, my Instagram. When you are looking for my Instagram profile, the name is quite different than my regular name. This is, you need to type in Escultura Digital, Digital Sculptor, Escultura Digital 15. So here you will find more than jewelry. So, and my Behance, inside of my Behance profile, you have many different projects. And Behance, my Pinterest boards, and of course my YouTube channels that I was talking about before. And of course, you like this streaming, you can go to the Pixologic YouTube channel, subscribe it for future streamings, like the video if you like it, or leave your comments of the video, or you can contact me through my social media pages and ask me whatever you need. I will try to help you as much as I can. And I think that we are done. You are still posting questions. Doesn't seem to you that ZBrush convert to a spaceship cupkit with so many tools? Yeah, yeah, it looks like a spaceship cupkit. Yeah, I know. Yes, it is completely full of buttons, ways to do the same thing, brushes, because here you are watching just a group of brushes, but if you go to your lightbox and you get into the brush, here you will find thousands of different brushes that you have here. Yeah, I know. That's the reason why I recommend to you to customize your interface. At the same time that you are learning ZBrush, you are learning different buttons, different options. So that's the moment to start customizing your user interface and adding the buttons that you use and forget the rest. So during the time that you are learning, when you are watching videos and tutorials and you are learning new buttons and new features, that you start putting those buttons on your custom interface, and then your interface is going to work only for you. So it's going to make what you are looking for and forget the rest of the interface. But and you are right, it's completely full of buttons, and yeah, I know. I have been using ZBrush for 14 years, so I'm quite familiar with the interface. The first version I used of ZBrush, it was the version 3, I guess, or 3.5 version. So, and it's the only 3D program that I learned. So for me, it's not complicated. So this is my daily working tool. But I know because I have been teaching ZBrush for many years as well, and I know that the people that comes for the first time to ZBrush is it's just crazy for them to learn. The learning curve is uh, a bit it's a bit different. It's not quite difficult because it's a so powerful tool, but if you grab for the first time what you are going to be able to do it with it, I think you're going to fall in love with it. And the next step is to start putting time to start learning how to use it. But you have passion with the software, it's not going to be difficult to learn. The Genius King, it's a pleasure for me that you'll be here watching my streams. Yeah, and I think that we are ready for the next stream. Hopefully, I'm gonna be able to make my next stream next week. I need to receive first the confirmation from Pixologic, so we will talk about the pavé on the leaf. So on my spare time, I'm gonna follow working on the design and till at the end, till leave it completely ready for 3D printing. I'm gonna try to make some cool renders as well. And I'm watching it here again, and I think I should be thinking more about the scales. I'm not sure if I like them. I'm not sure. Maybe yes. I don't know. Maybe not. I will. And maybe I will need to fix it. I'm gonna try some different options for the next stream. So, of course, here I'm watching. Maybe the head is too wide. It's too big. If I send it here, maybe I can squeeze it a little bit. Maybe squish it a little bit here. It's an endless process. The designing process is an almost endless process because at the same time that you are working, you are changing your mind. So you are receiving new ideas, your brain is thinking different things. So one thing that you like at the beginning, at the end of the process you don't like it, you start thinking about to change it. So I prefer to don't touch it anymore. So you know what I'm saying if you are designing things. Okay. Gracias a ti, Patti. And Sebastián Fernández del Río is asking. I'm gonna answer you with in English and in Spanish, right? Because I think that it is a very I know controversial question or very often very common question. Sebastian is asking that if I don't have problems, but because ZBrush is a problem, because ZBrush is not a problem with exact measurements like Rhino. I have to say that ZBrush is as same accurate as Rhino is, so you can work with measurements. Also, here we are gonna work maybe in the next stream where I'm gonna be talking more about the stone setting. I'm gonna use more measurements and exact sizes for the stones, for the prongs, and so on. You're gonna learn. You're gonna see that ZBrush is completely accurate with measurements like Rhino. It's completely. For example, this is a this pendant is made from the beginning with measurements. I need to know that the pendant is going to be, in this case, is 40 millimeter high from top to bottom, and in the next stream I would need to know the thickness about the leaf. It's going to be 1.2 or 1.5 thickness in millimeters. So ZBrush is a completely accurate software to work with exact measurements like right now. Y I'm gonna answer you now in Spanish. So tengo que decirte, Sebastián, que con ZBrush puedes trabajar exactamente igual que con Rhino, con medidas exactamente igual que trabajas con Rhino, con las mismas medidas, mejor dicho. El modo de trabajar es diferente, con Rhino trabajas de una manera, con ZBrush trabajas de otra, pero controlas las medidas igual con los dos programas. Al final vas a poder imprimir una pieza con unas medidas, con unos agujeros, con unos engastes, con unas medidas exactamente iguales que lo haces con Rhino. J. Vincent is asking, you don't make the stream in Spanish for practice English? No, yeah, I make the streaming in English because I know that I can reach more people. More people speak English than if I try to make only streamings in Spanish. I have planned to make streamings only in Spanish in the future, but I think that I can reach more people from more countries, for more places, speaking in English than in Spanish. Of course, there are many people who speak Spanish, but I think that it's much better to use the English as a international language. But it's my own decision. Pixologic is open to use your own language if you want. The Genius King is asking 1.5 or 2 millimeter will be good in printing. Yeah, will be more than enough. We are saying that we are talking about jewelry. Maybe don't make things less than 0.6 millimeter. Maybe for thicknesses or distances. Or in some cases you can use 0.3 millimeters depending on for the stone setting. For don't you can try to avoid things smaller than 0.6 millimeter. If you are over 0.6 millimeter, it's gonna be okay. Okay, and I'm talking about high precision 3D printers, right? Not filament printers. I am talking about a wax printer and very expensive 3D printers. Sebastian. Yeah, and then Sebastian, in the next stream, I'm going to be talking about more during the process about measurements. I'm going to be more worried about the measurements during the process, because if I'm going to use, for example, that we have a bunch of different stones. For example, I have 1 millimeter stones, 1.2 millimeter stones, and 1.5, and then jumps from 1.5 to 2 millimeters. So the stone supplier is telling to me that the stones that I have to put on the surface of the leaf are these ones. So I need to be worried about the seeds and the los engastes, the setting for those, for this measurement. So I'm gonna handle measurements, real measurements with ZBrush. But this is a fake, completely fake sentence or idea that many people are still having, that ZBrush, with ZBrush you can't control measurements, because you are used to see many streams or many videos on the internet where they are don't worried about the measurements during the sculpting process. But if you are making a jewelry piece, of course, you must be worried about the measurements from the beginning. Depending on the metal that you are going to use, it's silver or it's gold, you are going to be more worried or less about the measurements. I can say you are going to have more or less tolerance between with the measurements, but you should control the measurements during the process. And the weights, of course. On the previous stream, I am saying a scream. I don't know why. On the previous stream, I was checking the weight of the piece before I start making anything else. So I was testing the weight of the piece, and then if the weight is good enough, and then I can go ahead. But it's too heavy. I can make it lighter if possible, if necessary. And yeah, I suck writing in English. Yeah, same like same like me. But I understand you. Don't worry about it. Or you can type. You can write your questions in Spanish if you want. But I try to translate from Spanish to English that everyone wants to know knows what you are saying. Bienvenido, Raúl. Don't worry. You can review the video whenever you want. Um, Dennis Farkas is asking, will the file available somewhere? I'm afraid not. I think maybe I will print it and cast it for myself, but I'm not gonna share this file, I think. Reuben M is saying Reuben or Reuben. I'm sorry if I am not pronouncing your name properly. Is asking, how do you check the weight on a computer? I don't know, or I don't understand the mathematics which are behind of the calculations, but you can do this. For example, you have this volume, and you can go to this plugin. You can go to the. I think it is based on volume and material density. It's a mathematical formula, and so you can go now here to where it is, Kitco metal quotes, and you click here, and this is the list of the weights of this piece. If, for example, you have in mind to cast this in gold, here you have the different kind of golds. For example, 18K golds is here is in Spain is the most common. Here you have 13.86 gram, and also you can convert the grams into dollars if you want. You have planned to cast this in silver. You have this silver 925 is 9.32 grams. For example, if we want to weight the head, this is the weight of the head. Gold 1 gram, silver it's 0.68 grams. This is a very useful plugin for jewelry. It's a must if you have a mind to start creating jewelry, I think. You can find it in the same place. You go to Pixologic, support, resources, you will find this plugin, free plugin, ready for using. So Soros is asking, what do you use for the mold? For the mold, I think, do you mean for the molding, to start making a mold? Yes, 3D printing. There are many, depending on the kind of molding that you want to make. You need to make it. You need to apply pressure or not. It's a cold mold or pressure mold. There are many material on the market that you can use it for molding. But I'm not a big. The knowledge that I have about molding, casting, and jewelry, stone setting, and polishing processes comes from my clients and from the friends that I have, which works on a jewelry workshop. So I'm not a big expert about this. The Genius King is asking, the designer are familiar with matrix software as well. They control volume, thicknesses, and weight there as well, of course. But as long as they just use ZBrush, it is okay. You have mentioned the best ways. Yes, you should be thinking about thicknesses, volumes, not only about the design itself, how beautiful it looks like. So you should be thinking about how weight it is, how big it is, maybe how you can, when you are wearing the design, it's going to be comfortable or not. This is a, when you are talking about design, you are talking about many different factors. You are when you are talking about jewelry design, of course, one of the main factors is the weight of the final piece, because the weight is directly linked with the price of the product. Okay, I'm gonna leave because it's becoming a bit late. So hopefully I will see you next Wednesday. I will follow working on this design. And thanks again for being here watching me. See you on next week. Bye, everyone.